this other third big dynamic is idea flow. So how do you get stuff to happen? So the idea is, as we said, it's no longer it's ask and engage, not sell and tell. So as a CEO, I'm a CEO of a company, I have no power anymore. I mean, you have to go, can you do this for me? Wouldn't this be a good idea? It's all about how do you get people to do things. So this sell and tell thing does not work anymore, especially with the new generation and even boomers. And so there's another book that I've gone all fanboy over, Social Physics, How Ideas Flow. Alex Pentland, he's right in MIT. And he talks about the idea of understanding how people talk to each other. Like you just had that conversation. Those are the things that are the most important. Like he'll do things like go into a company and change the break structure of a call center. So instead of everyone having lunch in little pods, they all have lunch together and productivity goes to the roof. Why? Because the conversations are about that jerk on the phone and this is how I dealt with them. And that is the way things really should happen. So I sort of say in Washington, for example, where I grew up, the most powerful type of event is a 6 to 8 cocktail party with 100 important, powerful people who can actually talk to each other. And so I now judge an event not by how many people are attending, but how many conversations you're curating. And this is a really interesting concept. So if you take 20 hours of conversation, 300 people, 8 minutes, that's like 20,000 conversations. So you have to program your events so that that the speaker's not speaking all the time, that people have the ability to go back and talk about it, and that you inspire them. So conversation plus exploration equals creative problem solving. And we all know this, we just don't do it. We're over-programming sometimes, we're just not necessarily thinking this out. Because we are really, I'm gonna talk a little bit how that event organizing is really, we're architects of information. And I'm giving this word away, but Scott Heffernan, who runs meetup.com, told me this, and I'm stealing it. So what is the most powerful word in the English language when you have these conversations? It's the word let's. Let's go to lunch, let's go to dinner, let's hook up, let's start a revolution, let's start a business. When you think about it, that's what you're driving to in all these conversations. Let's make a buying decision, let's make a fundraising decision, let's make some sort of decision. But when you think about it, getting to the let's becomes a good strategy to think about in terms of when you're planning events. And also, the idea that content is not the most important thing anymore, it's contact. It's these people in this room. So what we do is becoming more and more important, curating the room, curating the guests. Most bigger budgets are now being spent on getting the right people in the room and having someone ask them that they can't say no to. So a lot of the budgets are actually going to major PR firms and big companies that know the people because they won't go to one event. If they say no to one event, they will be blackballed from another event. So it's kind of like very transactional, but it's kind of the way it is.